When our parents died, I thought I'd feel a sense of closure. They had been ill for years, first my father with his failing heart, then my mother's battle with cancer. The house had been filled with hospital visits, medications, and constant worry. I had grown used to it. We all had, in a way. But when the final breath came for both of them in a hospital room on the same day, the house felt colder than I ever imagined. It wasn't the sadness that got to me, though. It was the weight of responsibility. For years, I had been the one holding everything together. I'd coordinated their medical care, dealt with the bills, and listened to their endless complaints. It wasn't easy, but it was a role I took on willingly, despite the toll it took on my own life. I'm the middle child, between Michael, the oldest, and Lily, the youngest. Michael had always been too focused on his own life to care much about what was going on at home. He had his career, his marriage, his friends. He'd show up occasionally, but only when it was convenient for him. Lily, on the other hand, had always been fragile. Sensitive. She could barely handle the emotional chaos of our parents' decline, let alone make any meaningful contributions. I ended up being the one who dealt with it all. So, when the will was read, I wasn't surprised. My parents had always favored me in subtle ways. They knew I was the responsible one, the one who would shoulder the burden. The will stated it plainly, all assets, property, and savings are to go to Sarah. Michael and Lily were left with nothing. I had expected it. But I wasn't prepared for the emotional fallout. Michael was furious. He demanded that I share everything, as if he had some right to what I had been left. He'd never once asked me how I was managing the weight of our parents' final years, nor had he ever contributed anything, emotionally or financially. But now, he was quick to claim his share. Lily, on the other hand, didn't even seem to care. She was too lost in her own world of grief to process what was happening. When I spoke to her about the inheritance, she simply shrugged and said, I never wanted anything from them. But I knew the truth. She was avoiding the truth, the reality that she had nothing to offer anyone, not even herself. She was too broken to confront her own shortcomings. The reading of the will should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. My siblings, both of them, tried to guilt me into giving them a share. Michael would text me late at night, asking for money. Lily would call, her voice trembling with feigned vulnerability, asking if I could help with her rent. It was always the same thing, an indirect demand for what they felt entitled to, despite having contributed nothing. That's when I realized that I was done. They had taken so much from me over the years, in ways they didn't even understand. Michael's selfishness had drained me of my energy for so long. Lily's inability to deal with reality had left me with emotional scars I couldn't easily heal. So, I did something radical. I left them with nothing. I didn't give them a penny, not even a reminder of what they could have had. They had been absent when I needed them most, and now they would be absent in the only way that mattered. But I didn't keep everything for myself, either. I donated a significant portion of the inheritance to causes that mattered to me, organizations that help children with medical needs, shelters for women in crisis, and mental health services. These were the things that had always been important to me, the causes that fueled my own survival during the dark years. I didn't leave my siblings with nothing out of malice. I left them with nothing because they had never truly given me anything, not love, not support, not even acknowledgement. It was time for them to realize the cost of their absence. And maybe, just maybe, it was time for me to finally live for myself.